My first episode, I still did cringe listening to it. That's that authentic vibe that I think you and I can bring, where we're not following a script. We genuinely just talk from our hearts. And I'm
Yes.
like, if I don't keep doing this,
Hmm.
I'm never going to grow. If there's anything that we want to share with the world is what it means to really be a true supporter and a cheerleader for we wanted this conversation to feel more like as if you're sitting with your friends and kind of discussing few things that come up, right? We had weeks where we didn't record, weeks where we doubted what we sounded like, where we doubted what we were actually. This honest conversation is caffeinated by Integrity Coffee, a Michigan roaster making your mornings a little easier and a lot better. You can shop once or subscribe monthly so your coffee shows up before your personality disappears. Order at integritycoffee22.com and use the code HONEST20. Real talk, raw feelings. Welcome to Attunigrate's podcast series. If I'm being honest, I'm your host, Nishani Javadana. I'm the founder of Attunigrate. And I'm Himgori Alve, Gigi to my friends, and I'm the creative mind and founder behind Tessellations, and I build brands that mean something. Yeah. So today we are celebrating a really big milestone for our podcast. Yep. It is officially our 1 year anniversary as of this week, this month. And it's kind of hard to believe that Gigi and I have been somehow making this work for a whole year. I feel good about not having been through this by myself, and having her by my side has definitely helped. Likewise. Move this along really easily because we have a lot of fun. And so today our goal is to review. What did you like to call it? I think you had a better name for this. Literally, I was thinking of like 1 year of being honest, like our
Yes.
entire conversation. And the reason why we started was we wanted that to end the fluff, right? Like we wanted to have conversations that mean something. And I feel like it started because you and I started having those conversations. So like when I moved here, like suddenly like we would deep dive into conversation, we'd be like, it would be so nice if we can put it out and we develop. And it was that one small idea. And I feel that idea has taken birth, and it's almost like it's been a year now, and it still feels new. It still feels unreal. But yeah, like having said that, like I wanted to like ask you a few questions, though it's like I know it's been a year. How has this entire year been for you when it comes to podcasting, right? Like how do you feel as a podcaster? As a podcaster, right? I actually still forget to identify myself as a podcaster. It's almost like, we were at our networking meeting and it was our facilitator who pointed out, and you have a podcast, right, Nishani? And that's when I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's another thing that we're doing. And we're high achieving women, which maybe everybody has caught on to that part by this point, if you've been listening in our journey. And there's a part of me that almost hears my dad in the background saying, you could do more. You could have done more episodes this last year. Yes. To me, this has been a journey about learning to be more patient with myself, patient with our process, learning how to stay open and flexible, just like being an entrepreneur, being flexible with like timeline changes, right? Sometimes our guests are not able to join and we have to move our time around. And then we decided, you know what, we need to be firm with our boundaries on when we record so that we're not just doing it anytime, anywhere, right? We've evolved, and we've even found a sponsor to to support our journey before we, in my opinion, have made it as a podcast, right? Like right now, this is just fun. Like we're making this a fun experience. And I've always wanted to stay true to that. So I think those are the thoughts that I'm having, especially as I sit with myself. I'm like, wow, 1 year. It's been 1 year. Wild. Yeah. What about you? For me, I honestly feel that through podcasts, I think people are going to also feel that. Like I've had a lot of growth, a lot of like personal growth in terms of the way I communicate, the way I articulate things. Yes, it has definitely helped me to take that pause, frame the sentence really well, and convey it to the person in front of me. If
Right.
you see my form like episodes before, like you would see that I was in always a rush to kind of get it like out of me. And like just because I edit the episodes as well, I know how it sounds and why
Right.
I have to do the things I have to do. And it has helped me in my personal life as well. Like that reflection went in my personal life as well. I'm like, yes, if I have a thought, I can hold it in, space it out in a way, and convey it in a better way. Like I don't need to rush things.
Mm.
And yeah, like my first episode, I still did cringe listening to it. I'm like why? But like every time the new episode came out, I'm like, okay, I'm getting better. I'm getting better. I'm getting better. And I'm like, okay, now I'm okay listening to myself. I'm okay to it doesn't feel as cringe. It doesn't feel like as if I'm trying to be somebody else, right? It's flowing very naturally. Initially, I used to be under the pressure of like, oh my God, I'm recording. I need to be a particular way. Oh my God, like this needs to go out. And yeah, like it's this 1 year has been a lot of growth for me. Like as a
Yes.
podcast host, I again like I'll be in line with you. I don't identify myself as still as a podcast host. Like sometimes when people say I'm like, oh yeah, I do that, right? Like
Right.
that's also one of the things that I add. Like after being an entrepreneur, being a creative person, I'm like, oh, I'm a podcast host as well.
And you make a good point about the speaking naturally and getting in our heads, because I did re listen to our first episode in honor of this anniversary. I figured it's really important for us to revisit that. And I do think that Gigi, you get to re-listen to our voice on repeat endlessly because you're a producer, and I only get to hear the beautiful version that Gigi sends to me via email saying, Nishani, check this out. And I'm like, this sounds fantastic. Meanwhile, I know she spent countless hours editing the uhums, the quiet, the random laughter that we have, or when we talk over each other and we one of us needs to shut up and listen to the other person, you know? We have certainly learned, and it's interesting because I have seen your growth. I see the growth in myself, I see the growth in you. And some of our podcast guests have given us the compliment, which I really value. They
Yeah.
have shared with us that they did not even feel like they were doing
Mm-hmm.
something that was like requiring them to be a speaker. They felt like they were themselves. They felt like we asked them questions that made them feel like they could really get into a topic, right? Kat even said that in the episode. If you listen to our episode with
Yeah.
Kat Barber, our acupuncturist, she even mentioned that
Yeah.
in the episode that she was like, wow, this felt so easy, so natural. And our podcast sponsor, Integrity Coffee, the founder Jeremy
Yes.
Lambert even mentioned that today when we saw him. He said it was just it was so much fun. And
Yeah.
that's that authentic vibe that I think you and I can bring, where we're not
Yeah.
following a script. We genuinely just talk from our hearts.
Yeah.
And we have used this platform as a tool for us to engage with a wide variety of individuals, which was not even the plan when we first started, right? Because I was like,
Yeah.
let's go down to the root of what we were starting this off as. We were like talking about immigrant issues, being immigrant women. It's like this podcast has taken a path that we didn't fully see when we first
Yep.
started. And I really like to draw the parallel about how the journey of the podcast has very similarly crossed paths with the journey of being an entrepreneur, because
Yes.
you have this like vision of, I'm going to do this and this is what my business will do. And then as you take the steps, your business has to take like different turns. It's almost like Google is rerouting because there's some construction that's happening. Since if you
Yes.
live in Michigan, I bet you already experienced this,
Uh-huh.
where you're like, oh my God, now I cannot take my usual path. I gotta go. And thankfully we have digital maps that can reroute
Yep.
us without us having to pull out a map in our car and take out a piece of paper and look for local roads to avoid the
Yeah.
catastrophic traffic zone. So I this is what it feels like to be an entrepreneur, and the
Yep.
podcast being And Attunigrate podcast has also been so pivotal for my business because it's allowed me to feel more grounded as a business owner. Honestly, I use this as like a safe space. This has never drained me. I've never felt like I am expending more energy. And there have been times when we have both had our moments of like
Yeah.
where we haven't recorded, right? Like I was just thinking about that. We were just talking about that before we started recording. Um, so I'm really curious if you remember what it felt like, in the beginning and our pauses and delay.
Yeah. Yep. So, like, before we dive into what you have asked me, I have few questions for you. Just if I like, if I ask you, can you throw like a random date on when did we post our first video? Because we were not taking it very seriously. We were not looking for like, oh my god, I'm looking for a particular day to post it or whatever. We just recorded one day and then we posted it. Like, if you remember that. So, if I ask you to like throw a random date, like when do you think that we posted? We spoke about that we're completing a year, but do you have a date in mind?
Right, right. I know it's in July. I know that. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, July 11th, right? I'm pretty sure that was the official
Yep.
date, right?
Yep. Yep. You are right. I mean, like, yeah, it's from the day that we started. The first time it went out, I was so terrified. I was so terrified is because I'm like, I don't know. I don't like
Mm,
the way I sound.
mm,
I don't know what people are going to perceive me as. I don't know where, like, there was a lot of like, oh, it's my
yeah,
problem, right? Like,
yeah,
I would go back to Nishani and be like, hey, listen, I think you should do it this by yourself. I don't want to be a part
mm.
of this. I'll still produce it for you. Like,
Yes,
you are doing a good job hosting it.
that's
We'll
right.
find you guests. We'll do everything. And I said, one of the days, like when you don't have anybody, I'll be your
Yeah,
co-host and I'll help you with those kind of episodes. And she was hellbent. She said, I'm not doing it alone. If we are doing it, we are doing it like together. And I would say, yeah, thank you so much. I think I needed it in those first initial few months.
mm,
Yeah, then we did like few of our episodes and just got comfortable with it. I'm like, okay. But then I feel like we hit one spot, which was, I think I'm going to say December through like February, which was the most difficult spot. Like we didn't record as much, we didn't post as much, there was no consistency.
right.
And we let it be, right? Like, because we
Yes,
wanted this to be a space for people or like a space for just both of us initially where we spoke about whatever we felt, how we
yes,
navigated our things. And we're just talking about day to day normal things that what we go through. And if you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. Just take a break and it is okay. Like,
yeah,
that's what we
yeah,
would tell each other. And
yes.
I think that helped us a lot to get out of our head as well, right? Like, okay,
Mm,
nobody's forcing me, nobody's holding this gun against my head and making me do it. So
yeah.
then you started feeling more attached to that, right? Like, you're like, no, but then I think I need to show up more.
Mm,
And I think that helped me get out of my head also. And I'm like, if I don't do it, I'm not going to grow. I think
yeah,
after the fourth or the fifth episode, when I would hear myself and I'm like, oh, wait, like now it's better. Like I understand myself better. And I'm like,
yes.
if I don't keep doing this,
Mm,
I'm never going to grow.
yeah,
There are still those times I'm going to say that, like, I'm like, oh my God, like, why am I doing this? But like, again, it goes back to, do you see where I came from? Like, tomorrow I'm going to do better than what I'm doing today. Like, when we
absolutely.
celebrate 2 years, we are going to look back on this episode and be like, hey, remember what we spoke about? Like, a one
Right.
year annual. So, yeah, like, we're really looking forward to, like, like celebrating our milestones because, yes, we started at nothing. Today
Mm,
we have a bunch of things to go over and like
yeah.
what we spoke, why we spoke those things. But before we get into that, like just like saying that it's a year, I have another question. Just roughly, like we don't count our episodes. We have not been very consistent. We just spoke about it.
Yeah.
We do episodes with ourselves and we do some guest episodes. So, like having said that, do you know how many guests we have had so far? Like till this episode goes out.
You know what's funny? I was almost gonna cheat and look on YouTube real quick before we got on this record, just because I was like, I actually do not know. I'm like counting the people in my head. I'm like, it's not that many, I know, but like I was counting. I think I'm up to like because six or maybe yeah, I was counting up to six, and then I was like, wait, I think there were some episodes where you and I spoke, but your question was how many guests, and
Yes.
I'm sad that I'm not remembering this correctly,
Yeah.
but I how many?
So you're not too far away. Like we've had 8 guests so far in this entire year where we have not been consistent. Right. Really, like when I was writing these things down, I'm like, oh my God. Like when I wrote all of them down, all of the guests, what they do and what they have brought to our podcast
Hmm.
is is incredible. Like I didn't think like somebody who's getting started, somebody who is just getting like beginning,
Yeah.
like understanding our views, understanding everything. People trusted us just because it
Yes.
was you and me.
Yes.
Like they were ready to show up just for us. Like that means a lot. Like my really like thank you so much to all of the guests that we have had so far, because there are some conversations wouldn't have gone to that place or that position without
Hmm.
them being a part of our entire podcasting journey. And another thing is like I don't think I would have evolved as a person as well.
Yeah.
Every episode gave me something personally as well that I could take home.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
Yeah.
there were some episodes that like I was marinating on it days after, weeks after, especially
Uh-huh.
when I would re-listen to it, you know, and I think that's a reflection of our capacity to be open-minded and staying neutral and wanting to learn new things, right? Like it's made it more of a fun experience of like being yeah, just open-minded to the idea of learning something that you would have never thought about. Some of our guests, we knew them outside of just being for them being a podcast guest. Some of them have never been on
Yes.
a podcast before. So we got to really break the ice for some of our guests, which was really awesome
Mhm.
because being a podcast host, and I'll hear the chatter of a lot of people on how they want to start a podcast, but not everybody truly accomplishes what it means because we so often get in our own head. And you and I have been a witness to getting in our own way of getting in our own heads about I'm not doing this correctly. And then
Yeah.
even hearing some of the feedback from maybe like close family, close friends who may not who may share like with love, they're sharing what they are experiencing, and that has made us get into our head and try to
Yes.
overthink, oh, should we do something differently, right? I remember a voice message that Gigi sent to me in the early stages where it's like she was thinking out loud, and she was like, we need to like talk less and like we need to take longer pauses or something like that. Okay. Cause I was thinking,
Yeah.
I was trying to go back. We have sent so many messages between the two of us that I actually could not find the damn message because I wanted to almost play it here because it was so funny. It was funny, but it was like she had as the editor, as our producer, you had this moment where you were like, okay, we're talking too much. And I remember I think I don't know if I told you that, or I remember thinking in my head, like, that is the whole point of this. Like, you and I just wanted the space to talk it out and share whatever was coming up for us, right? And sometimes we do over explain. But I have
Yeah.
noticed in our podcast episodes, we've not continued to do that since day one. Like, it's almost like we have held space for both of us in a
Yes.
very, very good way and there was a random person who told me, one of our listeners, that like, it's like you two have this symbiotic relationship with each other and you're like cheering each other on in the podcast, right? And I'm like, yeah, if there's anything that we want to share with the world is what it means to really be a true supporter and a cheerleader for another person, right? Another person, right? Obviously, we know each other
Mhm.
personally in addition to us working together, but we hold space for so many different, we wear many hats with each other, You know, Gigi,
Yes.
like a couple of hours ago, was basically holding a camera and recording my every facial expression because she is also helping me get content together for my business, for Attunigrate. You know, you'll check all of that out in our social media posts. You'll see all of that work is Gigi's editing and special work and her thinking and her being creative. And so we wear many hats together. We can
Yes.
talk for days, for
Yeah.
hours without an interruption. So
Yes.
that's also important. I really think that us expanding and having guests has really allowed us to diversify what the podcast represents, because
Mm-hmm.
Attunigrate is also an expansion of my business, right? Because I started with just therapy, and Attunigrate was me expanding to integrative modalities of wellness. And we have brought in different professionals who are practicing wellness and sharing their wisdom in whatever shape or form, whether that's a good cup of coffee that they're sharing that's a healthy cup, you know, or it's a wisdom that they're sharing because they've educated themselves, right? Like acupuncture, like Leora, I'm thinking about family constellations, and uh, Dr. Zachary with his cultural research and his knowledge about all of that. So we have expanded our
Mm-hmm.
capacity as a podcast, as a business, to allow for all of these individuals who are so unique in their own
Yes.
way to join us and then share their wisdom and have a good laugh and connect with us in a very homey, like loving manner. You know, I feel that in every episode.
Yes. And I feel like I would want to give both of us a pat on our backs for doing that, because that was one thing that we set out to do. We wanted this
Mm,
conversation to feel more like as if you're sitting with your friends and kind of discussing few things that come up, right? Maybe, hey, how do you feel about acupuncture?
right.
And sure, yeah, we had Kat who does it professionally, but the conversation with her was very like how I feel when I get my session done, to her telling us the benefits and how we do it. And I feel it's a whole rounded conversation, right? Like it
Right.
even gives a perspective to other people who don't know something to
Mm,
knowing it a little bit and going and experiencing it for themselves, right? It
very
has
true.
like different sides that we somehow bring to the table.
Hmm.
There are some guests that I probably don't know personally or you don't know personally, and that helps
Yeah.
because then there are two sides to every story that we can bring out. And like I'm just trying to reflect back on things that we started as like why we wanted to do this, right? Like when people will ask you what does your podcast bring, I
Yes.
feel our podcast brings overall wellness, right? Like how can you like figure out your entire your not just your mental health but things around you also, like what are
Hmm.
you consuming, who
Yeah.
are you surrounded with,
Right.
how do you look at other people, like when it comes to immigrant culture, right? Like that also matters a lot. It trickles down to what you bring home at the end of the day. Like if
Yeah.
I met somebody and they passed a comment, I'm going to bring that home. It's going to stick with me for a really long time. So that entire, like I remember the first time that we spoke about it, we're like, yeah, we should do something like this. And then somehow at one fine day, like we sat there and we're like, oh no, we're recording it. And after that first recording, I remember that we both felt that there was something special that we could do when we know that we are recording. Like there are
Hmm.
so many, like even today, right? Like we didn't go, we're not, there is no script, there is
Yeah.
nothing that we're going off. We're going off things that we remember from whatever we have recorded in a year, what we have
Yes.
felt when we were in the deep down parts of, like, we don't want to record.
Yes.
There were days when we would set up a date for recording and we would both look at each other and be like,
Yeah.
today is not working out for me.
That's that's when we discovered that we're telepathically connected.
Yeah.
That I would think I don't want to record, and then she would send me a message and I would be like, "Oh my god, I just thought that." Or I she would send me a message and I'd be like, "Oh, I just had the same thought." Or, "Yes, let's postpone," right? And then if Gigi was feeling like, "Oh, I know I'm," it's almost like there was a point where it felt like we were failing each other when we couldn't show up, right? But then it's all, again, this is like us like healing a part of that, like high functioning go getter attitude where we're
Mhm.
rediscovering what that means for us and what it means
Yes.
to be successful, what it means to be consistent, because so many people see progress when like people hit the like the power, whatever success means to anybody, right? People will witness that, but they are not always seeing the behind the scenes, like what you're saying, Gigi, where we had weeks where we didn't record, weeks where we doubted what we sounded like, where we doubted what we were actually doing, and
Uh-huh.
wanting to rethink, like, should we change our strategy? Should we, and all of a sudden now we're in 1 year, right? And July 11th is kind of really cool because I didn't realize that the 11th, because 11th is my birthday. My birthday falls on a 11, right? And I'm not going to tell you guys which month. Figure it out. But I like 11 is a very special number to me. I again, for obvious reasons, it's my date of birth, and 11 has always been a very special number to me. So for
Uh-huh.
our anniversary to fall on an 11th of a month was really cool for me to like remember that
Hey,
because I
I'm going to bring some numerology to this. For quick 2 seconds, I just realized 11 also is number two. And guess who is another number two on this podcast?
really, I didn't know that.
Because 29 adds up to 11. And
Which
11
is
is
another
again two.
two. I thought 11 is a master number though. So I don't think 11 gets broken down into two. But you're right, 11 still comes down to two, but I think in the numerology, like the energy world, 11 is a master number. 1133, and then there's another number. Those are like master numbers. Ooh, I learned something new
Yeah.
about you. I didn't even realize that. But yeah, number 2 is,
Yeah. Like,
I mean,
this is a random fact that we're talking about today. We both are number two is, yeah. And guess what? Now our podcast is also like, because it was posted
on
like
on
that,
the
that we
day.
never planned on.
Yeah, and 11 is like to me, it's like a portal to new opportunities, new ventures, right? Especially like seeing
Yes.
1111. That used to be something I saw
Yes.
my whole life, like especially as a kid. And I remember looking it up on the internet as soon as I had a laptop, being like, what does 1111 mean? Because I would see it on my computer, on a
Yes.
watch somewhere. And
I
it
still
is,
do.
you do? Nice. I see it randomly now.
Yes.
It's not as
Yeah.
like every day, but 1111 is, in an energetic woo woo world, it's like you're
Yup.
it's a new beginning. You're in a portal, you're in a pathway, and the universe, whatever you subscribe to, is saying, yes, go this way. So it's almost like we didn't even realize this was not intentional. We didn't record on the 11th of July in 2025 thinking that like, oh, we're going to do this on an auspicious day. Like we didn't even realize. We were just like, let's just do it. We're just going to do
No,
it.
no, I think it recorded, I'm going to say a month and a half before that. I'm going to say I took my own sweet time because I hated the way I was sounding. I think I did 2 rounds of edits and I told Nishani, I'm like, I'm not liking this. We heard it over and over again. Like in the first episode, like we like thought every part of
Mm,
it. And at one point, Nishani just went ahead and said, we're going to post it and we're going to take it forward from there. Like, and then the next time that we would go live and again, like I'm just trying to like, go back to that day and remember me like, uploading the episode and being like, I don't know if I'm doing it right. I don't know if this is what, but today after a year, I'm like, oh, thank God I did because it helped me quite a bit. It helped
mm,
me structure. It helped me feel and learn a lot of things from
mm.
people. Like I would have never had conversations like these sitting with somebody and talking about like what acupuncture is, right? Like sure, you will go ahead, you will go for an acupuncture session, you might be and
Yeah,
understand for your body what it needs, but not like
right.
holistically, like how we can bring it and how it can become a part of somebody's life and why is it important.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, I opened up about my own episode saying that I
Mm,
went ahead because I was really struggling that week. I went for an acupuncture session on a Tuesday.
yeah.
And then by like Thursday, Friday, I was back to normal. My thoughts were okay. Like, I just felt like it's like somebody put a slate between me and my thoughts where I was
Mm,
getting into my head too much. And it's just being like, calm down. You can address one thing, but it all doesn't have to be at the same time.
yeah.
Like that part was, and then when I spoke, like when I brought it up in front of Kat as well, like the acupuncturist, she was also like, oh my God, like, thank you so much for saying that. Like, I'm like, no, thank you so much. Because if I didn't show up for the session, I think I would still be dealing with those emotions. And I know I've been in this position before and I did have these tools and I have
Mm,
struggled because you take it emotionally, you take it mentally, your body deals with all of these things later on. Like till date, I have some issues which I don't think I can ever let go of completely, is
mm,
because at that point it drilled completely into me. And mind you, I'm working through it, but it's not like, a journey like this. But what happened with me with the current episode, it's not going to stick with me for too long because
right.
you acted upon it when it needed to and then you just decided. And I feel like that also came to me is because of doing like episodes, meeting these people, you are also aware of like what it brings to you. And
Yes.
like that's my one wish for all of our listeners, that they also get that aware and see their life in their ways, that they don't have to be stuck, right?
Yeah.
Like when we feel that we are stuck, no, there are small things that you can do. Sure, you have to let go of some of the fancier shit to in order to be able to do your holistic things or whatever that brings you. But I would say like then it comes boils down to priority, right? Like whatever you want to bring into your life. And yeah, like that is one of my biggest takeaway in this year is learning to be who you are, prioritizing yourself and giving your body, your mind the things that it craves for.
Mm.
What do you think? Like what has your 1 year journey been like?
Yeah, I think you definitely you added a really good point on like the self-discovery journey in this entire process. I was actually thinking about how I was able to evolve my own perspectives on what it means to be a woman because of this podcast. Because number one, you and I as women, we are not following the competitiveness mindset that a lot of women who are stuck in like this tortured patriarchal system of like one needs to compete with another, one need to be on top of each other. Because I'm thinking about Rhonda, our guest Rhonda
Yes.
Hemphill, right? She a soul activator, a financial strategist. Like I remember her episode where she was really talking about the role of the woman, right? The role of the mother, the feminine within family structures. And I remember
Yes.
how profound it was because that's not what I observed, and you also have admitted, not what we have
Mm-hmm.
observed in our own
Yep.
upbringing. And I also remember the culture of coexisting, our episode where we talked about what it meant to exist in Dubai, in India, in Sri Lanka, and then in the Western world, how we have been adjusting, right? I'm thinking about the moment that Calvin pointed out the language thing in
Yes.
therapy and like having an accent and having a different language, because the whole time when he was saying that I was like looking at you and I'm like, oh my god, he is pointing something out that I so glad that he did naturally
Yep.
without me even prompting it. I didn't even think about it. I'm so glad that he brought
Yep.
it up. But there
Yes.
is just like, and we got to go to Jeremy's like
Yeah. I'm
integrity
going to give a
coffee.
little bit of context here with like why she pointed out the language part, because I don't think we have discussed it, or like
True,
I don't
true.
remember, but yeah, just in short, I'm going to say I have always told her that I don't want to do it because I don't think I frame the sentences the way people here would understand me. And she's like,
Hmm.
listen, I understand you really well. Like you are just in your head thinking about it. I'm like, no, I don't like the way I sound. So I don't want to do it. She's like, listen, you have things to say. And I really like the way you say it. It's okay. You're going to get there. You will learn and everything doesn't have to sound same.
Yes,
And yeah, that's the context. And that's why she's
it's
spoken
true.
about,
Thank you.
like, and Calvin had no idea about this.
No, right.
This was an internal conversation between you and me for
Hmm.
a really like long time. And I
Yeah.
like after 16 months also of the episode, I kept telling you about it also constantly. I'm like, I don't think I want to do this bit. But then like, yeah, we stuck to it. And I know that reel, if you go back to it and check with Calvin, Nishani's looking
Yes.
at me and I'm looking at Nishani.
Yeah. You just can't tell.
Exact language reel.
Right. I wish I just didn't want to have a dramatic reaction when he was speaking. So
Yeah.
to interrupt him, right? I was like in my head, like, oh my God, this is exactly what Gigi needs to hear. And I hope that any other multilingual individual who listens to
Yes.
our podcast is also recognizing that whoever you are, however you choose to express yourself, is entirely okay. And if there are people in your life that may make you feel like you need to do more or change or adjust, that we just want to normalize that's not always necessary. You know, there are
Yes.
people that can celebrate how you show up, and they will. It's just sometimes we get comfortable with what we know, right? In the Western world, they get really comfortable with what they know, and that can be a challenge. And that brings me to the memory of, we talked about how Desi folk in Dubai may celebrate the Diwali. I think it was Diwali.
Yes.
Yeah, right. And we were
Yeah.
talking about how can we be intentional about how we celebrate our culture without
Mhm.
enforcing and making everybody else have to deal with our celebration, whether they believe in it or not, right? And there's just so many bits and pieces that we dived into in our podcast that captured the variety. Like, it's like we're multifaceted people, and we got to connect with other individuals who talked about that. And of course, I haven't even brought up entrepreneurship. Like, we talked about entrepreneurship
Yes.
many times. And to me, that was more helpful because I got to verbally process some of what I
Hmm.
was experiencing, right? And then you would ask me questions that would get me into deep thinking. And then you would share your own experiences of being a newer entrepreneur. And I was observing, and it was almost validating for me to remember that I did experience some of the same realities and thoughts and fears and fear of being judged, like the fear of rejection. Like, I felt all of those things, right? The fear of
Yeah.
failure, that's a big one, the fear of failing, and all of these experiences, because today I'm remembering something that one of our networking group individuals had said.
Yeah.
He said,
Yep.
pain is temporary, quitting is permanent, right?
Yes.
And that stuck with me because I have heard this before, but today especially I want to bring it to our podcast because so many people I have met will stop as soon as things get painful. And we also experienced those moments where it became painful. It felt like we needed
Yes.
to like push past this fear that we were having about what we sounded like. What will people think? Will we be appreciated? Is anyone even listening? You go to like a stage and you're like, hello, testing, testing, and there's like nobody. But we never quit, right?
Yeah.
We gave ourselves pauses, but we never quit. And
Yes.
that is what I think a lot of us need, that support, that resilience. We need to build that endurance. It's not going to happen overnight. And
Hmm.
I've met so many people who say they want to start something, start a podcast, and they do, but they don't stick with it. I have met people who say they want to start a business. It's very easy, in my opinion, at this point to start a business. It's not that easy to sustain the business, to continue to be in business year after year after year, especially when you have these moments where you really do feel like a failure. Like, I have definitely sat with moments where I felt like I made the wrong choice, for whatever
Yep.
that's worth, where it's
Yeah.
a feeling again. The feeling is that I made the wrong choice. It's not really that it was wrong or right, but I come from a very high intensity anxious environment as a child. So like my family it's always like, you got to do the best. And Gigi and I, we're really good at putting 120 of our energy and moving through it. And this podcast has helped us kind of, sometimes we're 120, sometimes we're
Yeah.
like, you know what? 50 is okay too, as long as we
Yes.
show up. 30 is
Yeah.
okay too, as long as we show up. And that has made it a lot better for me and for you. And again, I do remember you being like, you should just do this by yourself, Nishani. I'll just be in the background. And I was like, oh, yeah, can you guys believe it? This woman tried to get herself in the back seat and she was like, I'll just edit. You know, you do it so well. You should do all of the. And I was like, no way, no way, Jose. We're not doing that. We're going to do this
Yeah.
together. And that's helped me.
Yeah.
Definitely helped me. Before we get back to our conversation, here's a little local love that I want to share with our community. Today's episode is brewed with heart by Integrity Coffee, where they offer fresh roast, real flavor, and Michigan made goodness in every cup. Grab your bag at integritycoffee22.com and use our special code HONEST20 for 20% off.
I also remember the first time I had to introduce a guest, and that was, I'm going to say, Rhonda. And when we were recording, I messed it up. I really messed it up because I was so stressed about like talking. And I'm just like, I rushed through it. And then we jumped into the episode, and then I calmed down and I went back. And when I was editing, I re recorded the intro again. And I'm like, it's not like I cannot do it. It's just that I need to calm my nervous system down, right? Like, it's not like it doesn't come to me. It's just that maybe I do it different and I need to be okay with it.
Mm.
And, like it even spoke out to my individuality at that point, right? You cannot replicate other person. If you're doing that, I don't think you're being true to yourself. And it is okay the way you you are being pursued or you deal with it yourself, because there is only going to be one version of you,
Yeah.
right? Like, and that's you. You can try and mimic other people, but that's not going to take you too far. Like,
Mhm.
you being your 100% self is always going to take you places, and your gut will tell you when it is right or wrong. Like, after that episode, I'm like, no, I think I need to calm myself down. And
Mm.
I think that is that after that episode, I think I calmed down a little bit. I learned how to manage my, like, I'm going to say, nerves before the episode. And sometimes if I introduce, like, I know, like, I take a pause, or like maybe the way I introduce, it's different. But again, I'm learning. A year from now, probably I'll be talking about different things, and I'll be good at this part, right? Like,
Yeah.
today I know I'm good at putting my thoughts out, like the flow, the understanding, it's way better. Like, I have a pace that I talk in now. Like, it's not like, oh, I need to get everything out at this minute itself. Like, it's not that. Like, it's a process.
Mm.
And yeah, like, I'm genuinely like happy. And do you remember Eddie's episode,
Mm.
Edmund Jones? From Mosaic, like we spoke to him the same day we came from a breakfast event, right? Like the breakfast event that was hosted by Mosaic. And there was like the college students, they said that I'm enough.
Mm.
Those kids, when they said that they are enough, that line pretty much stuck with me until date. Like, some days I'm like, I wish somebody told me
Mm.
at that age that I was
Mm.
like, it's just me and I'm enough.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, at 30, 35, you know you are enough. It's fine. It's
Yeah.
never too late.
Right. And that's a very good point. It is never too late. I mean,
Yeah.
Eddie he's into acting. Like we just gotta schedule that next episode with Eddie because
Yes.
we didn't even get into the mental health
Mhm.
piece, right? And he
Yes.
talked about I really took away like the neurodivergence is
Yes.
a feature, not a bug. Like there are just really awesome moments where we have discovered
Yes.
things, and Eddie never had shared that mental health piece with us in person, and somehow in the podcast we were able to dive into that and he shared that openly with us. And yeah, we learned about Mosaic, and you're right, like I remember listening to those students, those kids have so much confidence in themselves and they were teenagers, and I remember thinking to myself, as a teenager, I did not feel like I could stand tall and say that I'm good the way that I am. You know, I am enough. I am worthy of love, whether I am successful in and getting good grades or whether I fail at everything in my life. You
Yeah.
know, I just did not feel that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying that's because our families like meant to make us feel less than, but they were so focused on making us be the best that they may have struggled to notice and celebrate us as we were moving through, right? And that's
Mhm.
probably why we're 120% at everything, because we're just we're just doing the extra. We just do the extra mile. We go the extra mile. And signs of, real success is just being able to navigate these moments of fear and doubt. That's really
Yeah,
what separates the people who win from the people who just say, like, who they're a victim of their life rather than they took the reins of life and decided. I think when you said, like,
yeah,
at 30, 35, we decided to take the reins of life and say, you know what? I get to dictate what I am worthy of. I get to dictate the pace in which I want to move. And if it doesn't work for me, even if I told myself this is what I was going to do, because you and I made promises about, like, let's plan on this day. And we would just like put it on a calendar and all the things. And then the day would come and both of us are like, not it.
you know
And
what? I'm glad we respected that space for each other, because when
mm,
we show up 100%. We
exactly.
are not cheating even the people who are listening to us, because, yeah, there are days like we were supposed to record with somebody else maybe today. But for example,
Hmm.
it got cancelled. It's for a good reason. I remember the episode with Cat. Technology, things are always not going to work in your favor, work in your favor,
Yes.
and you need to be okay with it. Like with her, we were supposed to record a long back, and things went
Mm,
south, like with the
yeah.
recording, like it just wouldn't work. And I'm like, it's fine. Things happen
Yes.
for a reason, and it is
Mm,
okay. The day that we ended up having this conversation, it was super free flowing. But I remember the day that we were trying to record, everybody's nerves were really high. Like
yeah.
the energy was not right. And I think that I think we have learned how to trust our gut a little bit. We still do
Hmm.
things. We still do things that, like, don't follow like our gut or whatever it is. And we do what we have to do. But like with podcast, I'm going to say every single time we know that Thursdays is the time that we have taken it out for ourselves and we record. I think we know it so well that like we come 100% prepared, right? Like we know what we're going to speak with, what energy we are bringing. But having said that, like some days if it doesn't sit right, like we would still tell each other, hey, I don't think I'm in a zone. Can we reschedule this? Like because we want to do and bring out the right kind of emotions. We just don't want to do it for the sake of it.
Yeah, yeah. No, you definitely said it best. And Leora, right? Leora Edit, our guest who brought the topic of family constellations, was so pivotal for me. And that was through you, right? You had experienced it. You had opened the world out to that, opened me and allowed me to enter a world that I didn't even know about. And
Yes.
by doing so, I started to recognize, like, what it was like for me to not have to carry the weight of other people's trash, like other people's baggage, even if that meant my family, right? And since then, I have been like, I'm planning on working with her. I'm planning on experiencing my own family constellations, because I can now tell there are some things that I feel are not mine. And it's that
Yep.
awareness of knowing, right? If not for that podcast episode and me being in that moment, I don't know, this is why, information comes to you in mysterious ways, right? Somehow when you're ready, the information comes to you, and you were the deliverer of that. You brought Lyra into the podcast, into my life, and that episode helped me recognize so many things, right? Like, even as a talk therapist, even with all of my somatic work, I felt like I had done so much work. And then I still recognize, like, oh, like, what about the people who I didn't even get to meet? The people who passed away before I even came into the world. I'm
Yes.
carrying parts of their genetic code, right? That has an emotional connection to it too. And so, like, this is why I do find what we're doing a really a service to ourselves, right? Because at the end of the day, this is also our relationship with ourselves. We're like evolving what it means to show up for ourselves, for each other, in addition to, because technically the audience isn't here. We might only have, like, I don't know, 5 or 7 listeners, but I'm like, if there was 5 or 7 people in the room when we're talking, I wonder how we're going to feel about that. I wonder how we might present our information, what might come up. And so,
Mhm.
whether there's 100 people listening, or 1,000, or 1,000,000, or 2 people, I want us to always be true to ourselves. And
Yes.
that's why I think this has also been a journey of self discovery, right?
Mhm.
Moving through that fear and learning new things and challenging our own belief system, right? And then we've
Yeah.
talked about mental health stuff. You've disclosed a lot of your own experiences, and I've disclosed my own. Talked about personal things. Like, we've really dived into some, right? This is just me off the top of my head. I feel like if I re listen to every episode from the beginning, I might have even
You
more,
might want. Yeah.
right? Like, I might have even more. And then, like, our episode with Calvin, it was so heartfelt,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Felt like
Mhm.
we it was a cup of warm tea or coffee in your case, right?
Yes.
Warm tea for me,
Yes.
but coffee for Gigi. Definitely supported by Integrity Coffee.
Yes. It's always integrity coffee.
Yeah, and just talking to
Guess who got
Calvin.
their new bag today?
That's right. That's right. She got her personal special delivery by Jeremy this morning. And she, I think Gigi was saying she just ran out yesterday. So it's really nice to not have to think about, where is my cup of coffee going to come from
Yeah.
every
Thank
day.
God yesterday I had no meetings. I didn't have to meet with anyone because, yeah, I was not as caffeinated. So, yeah, that's another problem that we have discussed. We have spoken a lot about it at length in Jeremy's episode about me
Yes.
and my coffee obsession. Therein, yeah, now even our networking group people know about it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Some of our listeners were like, wow, we learned so much about you, Gigi. This is important. But yeah, like, the
Yes.
episode with Calvin was such a heartful, like, we were just, he is one of the people that really continued to cheer us on when the room was empty, right? When it was just the two of us, he was genuinely a cheerleader. And he's in the UK, in London. Like, I would have never, a year ago, would have never pegged for somehow us having a random therapist friend from
Yeah.
London who is cheering us on. And I think you mentioned today, we were talking about one of your friends who's also one
Yes.
of our biggest cheerleaders, and she is also in London, right?
Yeah. So I know my this friend from, I'm gonna say, like, when I was 16 years old, we studied
Mm.
together for college and everything. And then after that we were in Dubai together. And then now, as I moved out of Dubai in a year's span, she moved to London. And I think in our lives, this is the first time that we have not met for so long, which
Mm,
is like close to 2.5 years. This is the first time that we have not met for so long.
sure.
But with everything that's happening around, you know what? Like, to have somebody who cheers you on constantly
Hmm.
is special. Like, having that system around you, because I'm sure a lot of people see our content, we put it out,
Yeah.
but like a lot of people don't engage, or they are
Yeah.
not your cheerleaders. They'll come back
Yeah.
and have 10 other things to say, or to critique you, or to put you
Yeah.
down. But to
Right.
find those people who stand by you in your corner, to cheer
Yes.
you on, to say that, hey, I'm proud of you where you are at, is special. I'm going to say, I honestly, I felt really like so loved. Is
Mm.
She knew me when I was nothing. Like, I didn't have a personality. I didn't know what I was doing till date when I look at her. And so, yeah, there are things that I say to her, and yeah, like, but I cannot say in front of her kids because her kids are at an impressionable age right now. So I have to find my words when I'm speaking. And when she complains about her kids, I just look at her and I give her that look in her eye. I'm like, you know what you've done. Like, don't blame your kid. You know what you've done.
You know who you are.
So yeah. So having that friend who has been with you since, like, there was nothing to you, to
Mm.
today who we have become,
Yeah.
is something. And
Yes.
again, those relationships didn't come without any work. We
Yeah.
had our own share of whatever happened with us, right? Like, we didn't talk. whatever, we came back, we hugged it out. We're like, okay, we're back to normal. Everything has happened. Like all of the drama that you can think of, like we went through everything. But like later stages in your life, you're just like, yeah, she's in my corner. So yeah, I'm
Yes.
just going to say shout out to Ananga. Thank you so much for being that person in my life. It really, really means a lot to me. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're so right about how people share their support through like commentary and criticism. And this is something we
Yeah.
even talked about today at the networking meeting where I
Yes.
think it was Chris, right? Chris Leonard mentioned that sometimes people think that playing ball is easy. Like when you make something look easy, people think it's easy, and then they
Mm-hmm.
have all of these commentary as backseat drivers or the audience, and then
Yeah.
they don't know what it's like to do the work, to be on that level and have to carry the weight and to play, right? And being an entrepreneur, right? We have a lot of corporate people who will tell us how we need to do this and do that and do it this way. And I sometimes look at them and I'm like, you have no clue what it's like to be an entrepreneur because you work for somebody else. So your
Yeah.
brain is already excluding a lot of the things that my brain has to carry. And that's one of the reasons why we were looking for the community, right? That's actually most of the individuals who have been guests on our podcast are in their own way entrepreneurs in their own way, right? In some manner of speaking, even Calvin, like he has his own thing in the podcast world, right? Which we
Yeah.
want him to succeed in his podcast. Like Jeremy has his own business. Rhonda has her own business. Like Leora, Eddie has his own like directing and the movie stuff. Like every single guest, if I'm not mistaken, even Dr. Zachary does his own thing, which Dr.
Yes.
Zachary has been wildly blowing up on social media because
Yes.
he's moved to Argentina and
Yup.
he's learning Spanish and he sounds like he's not even from the United States anymore, you know?
Yup.
And
Yup.
like we have engaged with individuals, and in fact, this is going to be a hint about a guest who has been in the corporate world that we will have because she's
Yes.
transitioned into her own thing also. Like we are
Mm-hmm.
talking with individuals who understand what it's like to play a different type of game at a different
Mm-hmm.
level, right? And so many people who struggle to support us, who are in our personal lives from our past lives. I like to call it my past self lives.
Uh-huh.
I do see them as having their own limitations because we are walking the walk that they never chose to embark on. It's almost
Yes.
like they said they wanted to do it. And maybe at a point we all said we were going to do it, but not everybody took the step to doing the thing. Right. And then you become the victim of life. And that's what I was talking about earlier, which
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been fascinating to observe that as a human, just to observe people around me that I have known my whole life, how they are moving through things. And I think my job, especially as an eldest daughter, which you're an only child, but I consider that you're an eldest daughter. Basically, like
Uh-huh.
you might as well just be the eldest daughter, the son, the everything of the family.
Yes. Everything.
And we are driven differently. We have had to carry weight for
Mm-hmm.
on behalf of other people because of how our early life experiences have
Yes.
kind of shaped us. And now we are like
Mm-hmm.
reclaiming what it means to be a woman, an adult, a person that makes
Yep.
money, like what it means for us to be wealthy, what it means to be loved. We've talked about that, what it
Yeah.
means to set boundaries. So I think this has been a tremendous evolution. And for me, one of the biggest
Yep.
things has been, you know what, I'm doing this for me. And the more I focus on this evolution of myself, right? Nishani evolving, just like
Mm-hmm.
Himgari Gigi is evolving, right? Then everybody around us can observe and perhaps maybe that will trigger something in them to do the same, whatever that means for
Yes.
them, right? Because everybody's path is
Yep.
different. I'm not trying to
Yep.
make everybody fit their lives into our lives. Like it's never going to fit. Like Gigi and I have very different lives, but somehow you and I are definitely telepathically connected in many ways. But
Oh,
that's a
yes.
different story
100
for another podcast.
But having said all of these things, you know what? I'm just going to throw something at you right now, and we've forgotten to talk about one of our guests. How would you like to describe your morning protein shakes, Nishani? And what happened recently with that?
God, I cannot believe we're getting to this at the end of our episode. Actually, thank you so much for reminding me. So, listen to this, right? Mary Beth, who was one of our special guests,
Mm-hmm.
is a representative and a wellness educator with Shackley. And
Yes.
ever since that episode, after we recorded that, I actually decided to try the protein powder that Mary Beth talked to us about in the podcast, right?
Uh-huh.
And for the last 2 months, I had been consistently taking that protein powder every day. I'm just providing this. Gigi already knows. I've already had this entire meltdown with her. I'm just going to share it with you guys. I've consistently had it for 2 months every morning. It took me a minute to really like the protein powder because there is a slight like taste to it, right? But I mix it
Yeah.
with bananas, fruits, and again, been a ritual. Didn't even realize that so every month I get a subscription where Shackley sends me my new bag of protein, right? And so I ran out on Saturday, this last weekend on Saturday. I ran out and I the renewal happened on Saturday, which happened on a weekend, which meant that the delivery didn't come out until like yesterday. So today was the first day that I had the protein shake, which you saw me because you picked me up this
Uh-huh.
morning. I was like a different person. Okay, obviously you might not have noticed that, but I felt like a different person. But so since Sunday to today, actually yesterday, I noticed a very significant difference. So I still had a protein shake that my partner helped me make with another whey protein, a different brand that I had on Sunday. Uh, and on Sunday or Saturday, I had it. And usually I could go hours after that Shaklee protein. I'll have it around like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. I could go multiple hours and not feel hunger because it does have that GLP-1. It increases that. So it suppresses your appetite and it provides enough nutrients where you actually no longer feel hungry because it's satiating you, right? I had like the shakes. Like I have not had like hunger shakes in many, many months. And I didn't even recognize that I hadn't had that, like, I'm going to kill someone. I'm hungry. Like my blood sugar is crashing. I'm hungry, which technically, if my partner's listening, he might be like, I disagree. But that's just because I'm a different person when he's around. But I
Yeah. I hope our
genuinely,
partners realize that soon.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We're more authentic and we put our guards down
Yeah.
in front of our significant others, which is the whole point, in my opinion.
Yep.
But that also means that they get the wrath of our true personality at any given time.
Uh-huh.
So going hours and then feeling like I was gonna like pass out, like I was irritable, I needed food, and I looked at the clock and it was only like 12 or 1 o'clock. And I usually have the protein shake at 9 or 10. And it's only a couple of hours. So for my blood sugar to crash that much, for me to have to, and then the whole day I felt like I was chasing that feeling of like, "Oh, crap, I need to eat. I need to get that protein in my system or make sure I'm having enough carbs." And in those 4 days, I noticed a significant difference in my energy. And I also, over the past 2 months, having taken it, I had noticed changes in my cycle. Like my monthly cycle was changed. I felt way different. I was not experiencing the same cramps. Like everything she's told us in that episode, I actually
Yeah.
was living it and I didn't even realize it. And so, thank you so much for bringing that up because that was so profound and it just happened. It literally just happened because I had the protein shake today and
Yep.
I'm like living my best life. I feel so energized.
Yeah.
I didn't even need food, right?
Yeah.
Because we were doing content recording and you mentioned food. And I was like, no, we're good. We should be fine. Because usually around that time, I'm like, let's go get food, right? And so these, again, I'm so grateful for Mary Beth. I'm grateful for Shackley. I have been slowly introducing myself to more products by Shackley, mostly like protein related products still. I haven't dived into there's like skincare and there's other stuff in the brand that they do. But just to realize that it is third party tested, I can notice a difference in my workouts, in how my body has changed over the last couple of months. So I'm like, and I told Mary Beth, and she was so happy to hear that I was able to notice such a big difference in a couple of
Yeah.
days of not taking it, And she mentioned that. She even mentioned that in the episode. She said, I'm never going back because of how great I
Yes.
feel. Right. And I think you
Yes.
just started taking the protein shake, right?
Yes. I'm like really, really new. It's just been like 2 days for me. So yeah, I don't have any input at this point, but
Sure.
sooner or later, having
Yes.
said that, just keep your eyes and ears out to maybe another episode that we might have closer. If you guys are interested in hunting and if you really have any questions about that, shoot out, like,
Hmm.
put it down in the comments or something like that. We'll
Yes.
definitely try to, like, reach out to Maybeth and like have these conversations with her.
Yes.
Yes, she hunts, and we want to get into that part with her as well, apart from,
Yes.
like her, like being an entrepreneur with Shaklee. That's right. So yeah, like I think like all of our guests have been like bringing in so many different elements. Like us
Hmm.
trying to squeeze it into an hour right now is so difficult because I feel like
Yes.
everybody needs their own space and time to like
Yes.
be given and spoken about. And yeah, like my heart really feels very like full.
Hmm.
I like a year ago I was not feeling like this. A year ago I
Right.
was more like doubting everything that we were doing. But a
Yes.
year into it, I'm just like, I think I'm happy. I think I'm like, I can actually track my growth.
Yes.
And I'm very happy about that. Like I'm happy I can see evidence of it, like the way I
Yeah.
was and the way I am.
Yeah. Imagine, like you said, 2, 3 years from now, right? What that will look like. And the
Mhm.
purpose of this podcast has evolved. We have had so many transformational moments. Again, that's why I keep saying, like, this has been like a personal transformation journey for me and for you. I've seen our growth. I've seen you grow. I've seen us expand our horizon and challenge ourselves into new territory, right? Like you've moved past your fears in like the
Yeah.
introduction moments. Like I remember that freak out that you had with Rhonda's introduction when you pointed it out. I really
Yeah.
remembered that. And it's like, obviously nobody gets to see behind the scenes of all of these things that we've had, right? All of the pep talks that we've given each other, or the moments where we're like, let's cancel and let's not record, and deciding to just, I was like, listen, it's fine. Nobody's going to be bothered. Nobody's holding, like you said, like there's no expectations here. This is just for us. At some point, maybe that will change, maybe, right? But I want to stay true to who we are
Yeah.
and what our energy feels like. And as women, we are cyclical beings, which means we cycle through different emotions, different energy levels, and we need to honor that, and we want to role model that, right? We're not just talking about what that means, including our guests, like Mary Beth pointed that out. That was a huge myth buster for me when she said that menopause does not need to be this painful, agonizing process for a woman. That if you have the right supplemental support and you are doing and taking care of
Mhm.
yourself in an effective way, which we have another guest, right? I don't want to announce her name because we're going to record with her soon. She's also all about women's health and
Uh-huh.
perimenopausal, menopausal women. We'll talk about that in the next
Yes.
upcoming episode. And so I do
We
agree. This
have
is,
some really nice
uh huh.
guests lined up, I'm gonna say, right? Like though we are reflecting on what we have done so far,
Yes.
upcoming guests, upcoming episodes are also equally like exciting. Like I'm really looking forward to having some of these conversations.
Right.
I'm really looking forward to what they are going to bring as well, because so far, like these people have filled our cups.
Yes. Yes. They have brought warmth, they have brought knowledge, they have brought like so much expansion for us to know how to navigate certain worlds and our own
Yeah.
experiences, right? And yeah, healing just looks different on everybody. Wellness looks different for everybody, and we are here to navigate the conversation so that if someone were to think about, okay, I don't want to do this, but I might consider blah, 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 like acupuncture or family constellations, right? Not everybody needs to do talk therapy. And as a talk therapist, I obviously advocate for talk therapy all day, every day, but
Yeah.
we don't all have to do that. And we also, I'm going to bring in another guest who does fascia work in the upcoming
Yes.
weeks, because she's also somebody who does deep fascia work, which is about that, nervous system
Mhm.
and the way that things store in the body. Like, this is just like exactly as you said it really well. This is exciting where I'm excited for the next year. I'm so grateful for Gigi for being a part of this because I am not sure how I would feel about producing and editing. I still to this day don't know all the work that she does, but I do know that it sounds fabulous after she's done it. So I want us to be celebrating Gigi, our producer, for sticking with me and for following, her heart and coming up with creative ways. Because you guys may have seen in our YouTube videos, our introductions have changed because Gigi's always thinking about how to make the show better, how to help ourselves feel, to present it to an audience in a more creative, unique way. And I love what she's been doing lately. So this is all on her. I swear I just show up and like talk. That's mostly what I do.
Apart from that, she encourages me, she keeps me grounded. Those are the things that nobody's ever going to see.
Mm,
Like the thing that I'm still on this podcast is because of her. So she's not giving herself enough credit at this point. And guys, yes, we constantly do this. She praises me, I praise her. I think it's that relation, right? Like, and yeah, like I remember her mentioning at one point, like, we're in women and like we support each other. Like, the small thing is like surround yourself with people who don't look at you as a threat,
mm,
who look at you as somebody who they can grow along with. I have my person, find
yes,
yours. Like I'm
yes.
going to say, because once you find that person, the growth, the journey, everything becomes so easy.
Mm,
And also another important thing, know that there is no limited place on top. Everybody else can have your own seat at where you are meant to be. If you help other people, that doesn't mean somebody is taking out something from your plate. Somebody else
right.
will definitely add into your plate if
Mm,
you are giving out. So always have the open heart to help people, be there for them. This is just a small nugget, because
yeah.
as you sow, so shall you reap. And we have learned it
Mm,
since we were kids, but believe into that. Because in today's day, we are not seeing it. Everybody is very selfish into like me first. Learn
mm.
how to, because then you're going to receive 10x more.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I stand with that because I have seen that happen in my life a lot with Nishani showing up. Definitely the way I have shown up for people, I'm never being reciprocated in the similar fashion. Yes, they did things their way, but
Mm,
like when she walked in and she started mirroring things, I'm like, oh my God, like it feels very overwhelming. Initially, I was like, oh my God, no, I don't want it. But yes, I'm going to be always grateful for her, because Desolations is here today is because of her, because she's like, hey, listen, let's start with this. So I'm always going to be grateful to have met her. And yeah, we have to give my husband that credit, which we'll debate about every single.
well, thank you. Yeah, when we did that event, we had a leadership event, and we Gigi was praising and cheering and thanking me out loud. And there was a group of women we were at this table with, and they were like, wow, like, look at the way that she's talking about you. And I was just like, yeah, I hear this every day. And they were like, I think they had a moment where you're like, Nishani, I think you're not like appreciating Gigi the way that she's appreciating you. And we were both like, listen, like, we do this so frequently that it's kind of, I'm sure people are getting tired of hearing us doing it. But
Yes.
for all of the years that I felt starved of this, I feel like you and I are providing and filling each other's cup and overflowing with this verbal
Yeah.
validation and affirmations for each other, right? And our facilitator, Doug, from our networking group, who's a leadership coach, he shared a really important, some quotes, some life lessons, right? And one of them was plant good seeds and plant
Yes.
yourself every single day. And I think Gigi and I are planting seeds within each other. Our guests have planted seeds in us. We have planted
Yeah.
seeds in our guests. We are planting seeds as entrepreneurs with the people that we encounter. We are slowly but surely planting seeds, and we're watching patiently, sometimes, not so patiently.
I'll
Right.
give it to both of us.
Right. Exactly. We struggle with this, which is a human characteristic, I like to add, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now we are allowing these seeds to grow. We don't see
Mhm.
things right away. We don't always see the progress right away. But at the end of the day, we are now here a year later, and this podcast the seed has grown into a actual plant, right? It's like it's flowered in a way, right? Because Gigi loves her flowers. She does some gardening in her apartment complex. It's gorgeous. And like, this is what it means to evolve as a human, and we are a part of nature. And you're right, like everybody has a place. We don't look at one tree and go, you're more special than the other tree when we're walking through a forest. Every tree has
Mhm.
its own unique expression in this world. And so we're planting seeds in all of our people that's listening to us, right? And we're hoping you will share and plant seeds with us. If anybody's interested in being a guest because you bring something to the table that sounds very much in alignment with what Gigi and I represent, or you just want to come and have a chat because the two of us can talk about life, apparently, right? Because we're an hour and 15 minutes in here. I'm going to wrap this up. But yes,
You started without any script because we were
yes.
like, okay, we are going to go off. We're going to see where we are at and talk about things that we felt personally from our heart,
Mhm.
nothing that we went over. So this all comes from our heart, things that we have kept, close to our heart from all of the conversations. I'm sure we have a bunch of other things. Like if you spend an hour, you will hear a lot about these people. But
Yes.
yeah, if you have not been able, like if you have not heard all of the episodes before, please go ahead, listen to all of
Yes.
them. All of our guests have brought a lot from their expertise.
Mm.
And yes, you would see us asking some good questions, some dumb questions, because that's the nature of life. Because you need to be at a position of like receiving what they're bringing into you, because
Mhm.
you are not know it all. And I love that perspective. I love interacting with people, having these conversations. So I'm going to say thank you so much for everybody who listens to us.
Yes.
And thank you, Nishani, for keeping me alive on this.
Thank you for keeping the podcast alive and making sure that we stay on track and making us sound extremely organized and professional because Lord knows my editing skills would not serve us the same way. I'm really grateful for our listeners. Thank you for that shout out. Yeah, everybody that has taken a moment to listen, who's listening right now, thank you from the bottom of our hearts because we know that if you've made it this far, it means that you recognize that there is something about not being perfect that makes us so human. So, this is, if I'm being honest, where we are not promising perfection. We're showing up as we are.
So stay real, stay honest.